Okay. Hi everyone and welcome again to my audio-visual channel. My name is Gabriela Handal. I'm a draftsman and the host of this show you're about to watch, a conversation about art, where I'm doing long-term research on the meaning of art and beauty. If you would like to support my channel, liking, leaving a comment, and sharing this video is incredibly helpful, and so is subscribing. You can also provide support via the links in the description. Today we have episode 102 and my guest is artist Simen Meyer. Simen, welcome. Please tell
Thank
our
you.
listeners and viewers, you're welcome, who you are and what you do.
I'm a Norwegian graphic designer, illustrator, draftsman as well, and glass gilder, traditional sign painting. Yeah,
Okay.
I was born and raised in Norway, but I've been living in New York City now for about 10 years.
Okay. How great is it that today it's sunny?
I know we haven't seen the sun all year. Really?
I mean, it was like, I think almost 2 weeks straight of overcast. I
Yeah.
was tired of that shit.
Oh my God.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I mean, you feel tired. You're like literally just like, oh, I'm depressed. I wonder why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I woke up today. I always wake up pretty early, and I was just
Okay.
like, bloody hell! It's like, what? Something's different. And I was like, oh, it's brighter than usual. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah. My husband was saying yesterday that, hey, the weather thing says that the next few days are going to be sunny, and I was like, I will leave it when it happens. Because, the weather predicts lots of
always
things,
sunny.
so who knows what the hell. Anyway, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so the things that you said you do draftsman, so you draw.
Yeah.
What did you call the glass part?
So I practice an art, and you can see it in the background. It's kind of like a about 120-year-old style of sign painting and glass gilding. I mean, it's a combination of traditional sign painting and glass embossing, which was a French and English mainly technique of decorating glass. I'm sure everyone's seen like a brilliant cut cup of crystal glass, right? The kind of cutting that gives those kind of textures to a crystal glass is called brilliant cutting, where you use stone tools to cut into them. I don't do that because I don't have a big enough studio for it, but I do everything else, which is sandblasting, acid etching, which I do a lot of, glue chipping, which is a pretty cool technique. I'll tell you more about that later because it's actually really neat. And then making mirrors I do as well. What you see behind me is handmade, bespoke, chemically transformed mirrors, basically using gold leaf as well. That's what the gold around it is. So it's an old technique I picked up a few years back, and practiced it for now six years or something, I think. Yeah.
Okay. So in the mirror making part, do you also make the reflection of the mirror?
Yeah. So
Oh.
all of this behind me started off just like complete, like plain sheets of glass. And then my first step would be obviously have a design. The whole design process is first, and then everything is digitalized because I need to cut out either vinyl, or I need to create stencils or produce screen prints. So I do printmaking as well. I do a lot of things, honestly. Like I've had like many, not careers, but I'm a graphic designer. That's what I do as my main job, and then this is what I do, just like my art on the side. So I do a bit of printmaking as well, and screen printing is something I fell in love with, like really love. And it's coming in handy very much in producing glass pieces like this as well, whether you are making a stencil for acid etching, for example, we're using like literal, I'll show you what I use. Great metal. This is like asphaltum without like
Okay.
the grain in it.
Okay.
Thick tar thing that you can have a stencil, you screen print it out on the glass, and that will keep the acid from going through where you don't want it. So you have an image, right? And then the open areas, when you have the acid on top, it will burrow down into the glass and will not touch the areas where you've got this stuff on. But yeah, there's a long-winded explanation of that.
No. That's. I mean, I don't think I'd ever even heard about the glass gilding or. I mean, I'm sure I've seen mirrors that have this thing that you do with painting, decoration, like this type of stuff. But I didn't I didn't have like the curiosity to be like, I wonder how they did that, because a lot of people sometimes will just
Yeah,
paint, with like acrylic
yeah, and
paint.
you'll see it's the last maybe like 10 years, it's been kind of like a revival of this stuff. And
Mm.
I know a couple of people in New York who does it, a few people around America, a couple in Australia, a few in England, stuff like that. It's becoming more of a thing because my teacher, I'm going to plug him now, so go follow him, David Smith in England, most humble, regular, beautiful bloke who just lives in the middle of England, has like 3 daughters, and just like live in a regular house. But he's the best in history.
Okay.
And I mean that seriously. He's elevated this art to heights that was never seen even 120 years ago. So this is actually a pretty an art form that lasts a very short amount of time around the turn of the century,
Mm-hmm.
because glass gilding or glass decoration and glass cutting, which had a long history, that met with traditional sign painting like 20 years before the turn of the century, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So 1880-ish, rough to 1920. And then it kind of died because classical art, ornamentation, stuff like that was thrown out of the window after the First World War and the Second World War, and modernism started taking this brutal, kind of like darker form of art, which modern art, I'm sure we'll discuss it. And you basically saw this art disappear completely, and it was only a few people still knowing bits of pieces. And the last 10, 15 years has had sort of a revival, which I think is very, very great. And then honestly, like when we're going to talk about beauty in a second, it's like it's one of the most visually captivating, beautiful things that I've seen when you see it up close. Yeah, I think it's wonderful.
Okay. All right. So even though graphic design is kind of like your bread and butter, as I heard this expression somewhat recently,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm still curious about it in the sense that. All right, give me a second. Would you? I mean, would you say that is a branch of art? First of all, second of all, do you like it? Why did you choose to do that as, your day job? And these are many questions in a row. I don't know if I'll remember them.
No, you're good.
But I would also like to know how you got into both sign painting and glass gilding, and why. I might just have to ask you everything again. Why do you consider these your, I don't know, like not a hobby necessarily, but I mean a little more than a hobby, because you're obviously very much into them, much more than casually, So yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to try and I'm probably going to answer all of them because I give very long-winded answers.
Okay.
But why did I choose this? I mean, I was when I was a kid in school and stuff. I sucked in school. School was terrible. I was good at two things. It was sports and art. That was like the two things that like I was good at. But I didn't like sport that much. I liked a few things, but I hated all team sports. Like I didn't want to play on a team with anyone. So what I did was I was became like a gymnast for a long, long time, and I was competing semi-professional. Well, I was a kid,
Nice.
but like still competing gymnast, and I did that for a long time, and then I ended up becoming like it's going to sound sweet. I'm not that tall. I'm like 6 feet, but when you're a gymnast, you should be under 5'5".
Okay.
Like this physics just doesn't work the
Right.
same. It will start going out over like on my back, especially. That's where I got sick. I was out for like half a year, and then I got back into it, and it's just like, nah, my body can't do this anymore. So sports kind of like was a big period of my life, and it still is, like just athleticism and stuff like that. And I do a lot of it. One of the other things that just like keeps me busy at all time. I never have a day off or anything like that. I do something absolutely every single day, and it was a bit of like a pathology, but so that was kind of like going out the window, and art was something that everyone, since before I could walk, right, I could draw, and everyone was like, oh, so I'm gonna be an artist and so on. But I was never that interested in becoming an artist, weirdly enough, because to me, an artist was a painter, and I never really got bitten by the painting bug.
Mm.
So I was, and I always, when I started getting into design, was a feeling that I always had was like I was too much of an artist to be a pure designer,
Mm.
but I was always too much of a designer to just be a pure artist.
Mm-hmm.
So I love working in between those two realms, and there's so much
Yes.
cool stuff to do there. And the kind of design that I do is very heavily like art influenced, for sure,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah.
Wait, I want to ask you more stuff. Like a
Yeah, yeah.
question within a question. So then, what would you say then is the difference between design and art? Visual art,
Design is,
fine art.
yeah. Design is problem solving in a nutshell, but
Okay.
that obviously problem solving comes a lot into art as well, whether that is like selecting the right colors or a composition is problem solving. But design is an artistic way of visually create uh, uh, things that have sorry, English is not my first language, so sometimes it escapes me. But it's like it has use in a way. Like it's a chair, you can sit in it, or it's a bottle, you can drink from it. Art
Okay.
has use too, but not in physical use for the most part. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe you can come up with examples.
Uh-huh.
But I see design as a type of art, absolutely,
Okay.
but a type of art that is more um, kind of like ingrained into our daily lives and used art in our daily lives.
Okay, so
I,
then you'd say that design has kind of a more obvious practical use than
I think
fine
so.
art does.
I think so.
Okay. And so in that case, what would you say that practical use is that graphic design has?
Well, everything, literally everything, has been designed, right? The
Okay.
chair, the clothes you're wearing,
Okay,
the
yeah.
rings that you have on you. Every single thing has been designed, whether on and to a and then you got like a chart of how much kind of like aesthetics have been put into
Yes, yes.
the designed object. And you can look at his aesthetics from different angles, right? Like it might look super brutalistic and minimalistic. That's one type of aesthetics. Or you can look at like something like very ornamental, very colorful, very stuff like that. But I see it as like a gradient of how much aesthetics has been put into the visual problem solving that you're trying to solve. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, okay. I can see that. And well, I mean, you haven't mentioned illustration, but it made me think about
Yeah.
illustration just because illustration, I mean, the way that the illustrators that I've had on the podcast kind of think of illustration is that it's a little bit more explicit than regular quote unquote fine art in the sense that it more directly because it's usually used to go alongside a written. I mean, typically it's made to go alongside a written sort of document, like a book cover,
Yeah.
scientific illustration. So it's kind of meant to go along with text, and so it kind of more directly references the text. So then it seems like design and illustration kind of have like these maybe more obvious pragmatic sort of uses. And
Yeah.
well,
So
yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
yeah, so I mean, great point. It's so funny that you said I haven't mentioned illustration because illustration is what I do every single day.
Okay.
I am an illustration concept designer with the design agency that I work for,
Okay.
which is called Stranger and Stranger. It's a fucking brilliant design agency, about going on 30 years now almost. Out of England originally, but they have a couple of American offices, and we design liquor packaging.
Oh,
That
nice.
is all we do, exclusively liquor packaging. So whiskey, gin, everything, wine. And I have the role of being the illustration designer. And it's a very cool thing that you mentioned books, because I've designed a couple of books. I was going to see if I have one handy. Why don't I have anyone? Well, I have one book. Actually, I can get it. I designed a couple of covers for Dungeons and Dragons, for example,
Oh,
stuff like
nice.
that. Yeah. So and that to me is a mix of design and illustration, because you have to, as you said, reference in some sort of the written word inside of it. That is an illustration design. You have to compose it, you have to think about hierarchy. You are designing as you are composing, basically. Design and composition goes hand in hand sometimes, I think. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. Just give me a minute again. How did you get into the glass gilding part? And you said also sign painting, so I guess you do both on the mirrors that you make. How did you get into that, and how did that end up being, I don't know, like the oasis, I guess, that typically drawing or painting is for other people that do it, you know, I mean, you see what I'm saying? Because I don't know, like, again, I don't think I'd even heard about glass gilding. And actually also, why, okay, so you said that it kind of died out with the postmodernism or modernism?
Modernism and technology actually was the catalyst for its death. It was the first thing that came around in the 30s and 40s were neon signs. All of a sudden, you've got these flashy, light, colorful things, right? And it's like, who the fuck wants these all boring glass signs anymore when you've got fucking neon lights, right?
Yeah.
And then in the 70s and probably 80s more, vinyl cutters. Probably 80s more, because technology, but you got like vinyl and plastic and stuff like that was made into vinyl, and you get vinyl cutters. All of a sudden you can just print out a sign, right? And that was another kind of like revolution within the sign industry that just put this kind of stuff even just further back in history, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, okay. You keep asking me how the bloody hell I got into this. Yeah. So I got into. I'll tell you the origin story completely, because, again, the kind of illustration that you do was the kind of illustration that I always did, like classical black and white, graphite or charcoal. I haven't done much charcoal, but mostly like graphite drawings.
Yeah.
And I did portraiture, and I got really good at it. I remember the day where I made the best like black and white photorealistic portrait, and I was like, cool, fucking nailed that, I've done that now. I've never drawn a portrait since. Okay. So it's kind of like I do something, hey, cool, what's next? And I got into design in high school because I fucking hated school. So I sucked at everything. I could barely get through middle school, go to high school, and the thing in Norway is that you can start, I guess you can do this some places in America as well. You can start kind of like your journey towards an education in high school. So I chose design. I'm actually technically graduated as an exhibition designer, meaning that I compose and set up like not exhibitions, but windows displays, stuff like that, right? Okay. That was kind of like my education. And then I discovered graphic design while I was in high school. And after that, I was just like, I'm going to be a fucking graphic designer. Love it. And then during the first year of college, this was in 2012, I think. John Mayer, the artist, right? He came out with a new album. At that point, I used to listen at least to his previous records, like 10 years ago or whatever, and 15 years ago. And it came out, and I was like, oh, cool, well, let's check it out. And then I Googled it, and I saw the cover design for it, and I was like, what the fuck is this? It's amazing. It's a cover called, or the album called Born and Raised, and it's a really lovely design. Like, typography is lovely, the ornamentation around it, and it really like spoke to this kind of like Victorian era
nice.
Oh, beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. And ornamentation and typography and lettering, hand lettering, became a passion of mine instantly then. And I remember I was like, fucking hell, I need to know who did this. And I stumbled upon this YouTube video by this guy called Dave Smith. So they made him and his mate, who's a video photographer. They made a video together showcasing the process of him designing this album cover. But the funny thing is, like, it's a 20-minute long video. Only the 5 or 10 first minute is about his design of this cover, and the rest of the movie is just about what he does and his art, which is glass gilding.
I
Gilding
see.
comes from the laying of gold onto something. That is what gilding means.
Yeah.
I'll show you some gold actually too. I've got it here. But I saw this whole video and I saw what he was doing. And I was like, wait, can you apply gold like that? I've never seen that before. And when it's done, I was like, I have no idea what I just saw, but I have to see it again. So I just press replay, and I'm not kidding. Like every year, maybe twice or three times a year, I watch it just to get like, take that in again. Like,
Yeah.
now I want to get back to it. So in college, I came to America in 2014 to study college here for graphic design. And I already knew that I was already taking a different path in graphic design than at least in Scandinavian design. It's so clean, so modern. Websites or print, that's like the only thing we do, and all so slick and modern, right? I was like, no, I want to draw. I want to fucking mess with things. Because I think more than a artist, more than a designer, I'm a craftsman, if that makes sense. I do these things, but I use my physical hands as the tool. Not necessarily a mouse, not necessarily a paintbrush. You use your hands, stuff like that. But like, I need to work with my hands physically. Like, if I couldn't do this, I would probably be a woodcarver or something like that.
Yeah.
And so I went to school. I had a couple of years here in New York, and then my school has a school in Paris as well. So I was like, oh, fucking amazing! I always wanted to go to Paris. I went there to study decorative arts specifically, and while I was there, I was like, fucking hell, I'm a train ride away from London, England. Never been there. Want to go see it, right? And then I knew that Dave Smith obviously lived there, so I hit him up, just literally like, hey, I do this. This is my art. You're amazing. Do you have any open spots for like an apprenticeship or anything like that? I do these kind of courses, like 5-day courses where you learn, where I teach you everything that I know. So I was like, fucking hell, sign me up. And then when the week came, this was like October 2016, I just like told all my teachers like, hey, I'm not gonna come to school this week because I've got other things to do, like more important. Because I knew that this was such a, like, everything else could go. This is what I have to do. So I took the train to London, switched there to a train that goes down to like Essex and a little town called Torquay, where I met this guy, Dave. Stayed with him for 5 days, and he taught me everything about glass gilding. And to do it, I mean, as I said, you start with a plain piece of sheet glass, nothing special whatsoever. And what you do with it is you transform it into something beautiful. And you use, as I said, gold leaf. They come in these little packets or little booklets of 25 loose leaves, which can get quite expensive because you need 10 of these, right, to make a project or something.
Yeah, because it's actual gold, right?
Yeah, this is actual gold.
Yeah.
So you apply these tiny little sheets of gold, and that's the gilding part. And it's you use a gilder's knife to cut them if you want to, small pieces or something like that, and then you apply it using this is a very a modern take on a traditional gilder's tip, where this is squirrel hair. This picks up the gold like that, and then you apply it onto something, whether you use water gilding or oil gilding. Oil gilding is like this see-through oil that you paint, you let it dry, and then it's slightly sticky, and then you can kind of like gild it like that. Water gilding, you have a water, sterile, or what is called deionized water or distilled water. You add in a little bit of gelatin, just melt that into the water, so that it gives a little bit of thickness, and then you apply that to the piece of glass, and then the gold just sticks to it. Once it dries, it gets this mirroring effect. It's so bright and reflective that you can see yourself in the mirror. And this is technically or conceptually how you would make a regular mirror as well. You're just using silver instead of gold. So behind me, these are the first thing I had to do was to acid etch them to get all the ornamentation and the designs and the letter forms and stuff like that in there. And then I had to silver mirror them. And you either use, you pour the silver chemicals, which is a mixture that you have to mix yourself. You get the raw ingredients in liquid form, and you mix them to very specific and fine measurements, and then you pour it over the glass, and it will transform in front of your eyes because the silver reacts with the other chemicals, and it basically like sticks to the glass, and it becomes a bright mirror, a perfect mirror. And you have liquid. You can do this in liquid gold as well, the same kind of like chemical process, and you can spray them as well. Like when it comes to these big pieces, so this is about like 6 feet wide. It looks smaller because it's further behind me. 6 feet wide, and about like chest height for me, and I'm 6 feet tall. So, but yeah, and then you can spray them. You have like this spray where the chemicals mixes in as the spray, and then collide, and then onto them. The reaction comes the second it hits the glass, which is very cool. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I'd like to ask you more questions about that, but we have to move on.
Things. Absolutely.
I mean, I guess I can ask you on the side also. Like, I can ask you on Instagram as well. Additional questions. I have additional questions, but all right. So, Mr. Meyer, what is art in your opinion?
So what I think is interesting about art is, as far as I know, we're the only species on the planet who produce it, which is so. I think it has a uniquely human quality to it. I think art in my mind is an expression of the human condition. That's the broad statement. An expression of how humans see themselves or their world around them, and gives it life through a sort of visual. I think it more or less has to be visual unless it's music, which is a form of art. So I guess it has to be an experience, a visual or audible representation of or interpretation of the human condition. Yeah.
Okay, so even though you said that what you do with the mirrors, I mean the glass gilding and the sign painting is more of a craft. What part of that would you say then is art according to the definition that you just mused about? And what is craft in your opinion? And what tell me what your reply to those two things.
Yeah, I think the difference again with art and craft is about intention. I could be wrong about this. Like this is just how I'm thinking about it now. Is that art is done for art's sake, while 100 years ago you would not call me a designer, you would call me a craftsman, because I would do stuff. But design isn't a new thing, but it kind of is 100 years old. Like before that, you didn't have you didn't look upon art or advertisements, advertising as one thing, graphic design as another thing, craft as a third thing. It was all crafts or art. And I would probably just be a craftsman like 200 years ago, making something else. But art, I feel, is done for the sake of art, and I think that's what kind of is interesting about art. You do it not because there is an outside incentive to do it. You do it just because you wanna, A craftsman would make something, or a designer would make something for a client, right? For someone who desires your craft or your art.
Okay, so then when it comes to what you do, the sign painting and glass gilding, what part of it would you say is craft and what part of it is art?
The enjoyment I get from it is the art. The crafts part is I don't know. I don't know if you can. I'm trying to kind of like distill them down. I don't necessarily know that I have to. I think these worlds overlap.
Yes.
What I think is the crafts part is that it's a learned tradition to do. Obviously, then you would immediately think, well, painting, drawing, like these are learned crafts to produce art, potentially. Maybe you think about it in completely differently, and that's interesting because I don't know. That is just how I'm like thinking about it right now. But I think that's how I would think about it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I haven't looked really that much into the relationship of the terms art versus craft.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, but at the same time, I mean, I mean, I'm aware that they're currently separated and they're considered to be separate things.
Yeah.
But it has been mentioned in previous episodes that they basically were the same thing in the past.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, art itself was for sure very different. I mean, when oil painting first came around, which was around the Renaissance, and I mean, even before that, because before that there was
Before
egg,
that,
egg tempera. Yeah, even before that there was like egg tempera and frescoes and all of this stuff. So like painting still existed. I mean, there was a lot of involvement.
Painting on ceramics, like dating thousands of years ago, or back to cave paintings, even, right? Yeah.
Yeah. But it's just that I was thinking of, because I mean, are the mirrors that you make, is the glass gilding that you make, is it always commissioned work? Is it sometimes commissioned work? I mean, do you ever make mirrors, glass gilding mirrors, I mean, the way that a painter would make a painting? I mean,
Yeah, I think so. I think it overlaps very well with how a painter works. You get a commission and you say, okay, cool, you pay me this much, I will make you this painting or this glass piece. But I would also, if I didn't have any commissions, I would probably practice the art of glass gilding on my own, just for the pleasure of it. That is the art, as I see it. It's just art for art's sake.
Okay, so then art for you has a component of leisure in it.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And craft maybe is more connected to maybe kind of like the commission aspect of doing it as work for money.
Learning it, and also practicing it as a hired work. I think, yeah, it's a craft. You go to this craftsman because he does these things really well.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting, and I mean, I like the addition of something else into the idea of craft, because again, I mean, I haven't looked into it really that much, but I guess the impression that I have of the term craft is that there's kind of, first of all, there's kind of a serial sort of reproduction of work, in the sense that if you're a potter, you're a craftsman, and then you kind of produce pots, sort of I mean, that's just my impression again, like I haven't looked into the definition, but it's just the impression that I have. And there's also kind of like the physical aspect that you were talking about. And I mean, not that visual art isn't physical, because I mean, it's like that is how a painting and a drawing and a sculpture happen. It's like the artist is using their body physically to physically make the painting, the drawing, the sculpture. But then there might be kind of like a sliding scale of how physical it is, maybe, so tell me what you think.
I'm speaking with no authority on this.
Sure, I mean,
this is also just how I'm thinking about it. But I just had a thought while you were saying that. I don't know if craft can be separated from the individual that is producing it, but art can. You can be the artist making the art, but art can also be over there to be enjoyed by other people. I think that could be a difference, potentially.
Would you repeat the first part again? It's like art can be over there, and then what is the difference with craft?
I don't know if a craft can be separated other than conceptually from the individual craftsman or woman. But art, I think, can. I think art can stand on its own regardless of the person who made it or commissioned it. or the person who taught them the art. I think art can be this, while crafts is either connected to someone teaching you a craft or the craftsman himself making the object or
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
I wonder if you can elaborate more on that, because I'm not sure. And also, you know what else I was thinking about, which is, I mean, I still want you to elaborate on that, because I'm not sure that
Yeah.
I'm not sure that I quite get it. But I
Sure.
was thinking of something that happened after the pre-Raphaelite movement, which was the arts and crafts movement, which was an
Yeah.
attempt to kind of merge both of them, and then that's how you get those beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful, just objects in general, and with the Art Nouveau and everything. And like in London,
Yeah.
somewhere, I don't know where, there's like a tube entrance that is Art Nouveau, Art Deco, or whatever, and it's just like amazing, because it has like
That's
all of
Paris.
these. Yeah, it has like the
The
design
national entrance
aspect.
is in Paris. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and there's also that, and I mean, you know, you can please comment on your thoughts on that as well.
Yeah, no,
But
I think
I
you're totally right. I don't think there was a coincidence that the craft of sign painting and the kind of like aesthetical component of glass gilding, which is also a craft, like there was two crafts that got merged. But I think the two disciplines, glass gilding, glass, brilliant glass cutting, and traditional sign painting merged into this new thing called glass gilding and sign
mm,
painting. I don't think there was a coincidence that that happened around the turn of the century,
mm,
around the same time.
as the
Well,
arts and
the arts
crafts
and crafts
movement.
movement came kind of like slightly after, but I don't think there was a coincidence that that happened and occurred in history at the same time. I think it totally is an art form come out of the craft elements
Mm,
of it, right? So back to just to try and clarify what I meant earlier. I think the best way I could just say it is like I don't think craft can live without being connected to a crafts person. When
okay.
we talk when we talk about craft,
Uh-huh.
you're always thinking about like, oh, it's connected to a person who does a craft, right?
Uh-huh.
And we can talk about art and in the relation to an artist as well, same.
Mm-hmm.
But you can be a person not connected to art whatsoever and still experience something as art. So kind of like the end result that the craftsman, like you mentioned pottery earlier, that is a craft, especially if you really go into it and you have your particular style and maybe you paint the
Mm,
vases as well.
mm,
But then it can live as an object in reality in the world as an object of art or art itself. I feel like art is a concept that you could take out from the individual and the person and just experience it. So art is maybe an experience, which goes back to why I kind of like defined art as earlier, a visual representation of the human condition, meaning an experience of some sort that the artist or craftsman has had in making it, or the experience of viewing it as
mm-hmm.
art.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm thinking out loud, but that's the way I think about it, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I mean, I think I get it a little more. No,
Yeah.
that's why I asked you to elaborate. So because I'm interested in what you're saying, and I want to try to understand it. Um,
Mhm.
um, so so then a person looking at a work of art
Mhm.
can enjoy the work of art
Mhm.
and not know like anything about how it was made, or
Yeah.
who the artist was and stuff. But then, what is then the parallel of a person looking at, you know, a plate, or you know, like let's just stay with a pottery. If a
Mhm.
person is looking at a pot, a ceramic pot,
Mhm.
then what is the parallel? It's like, there's. Do you think there's no kind of like artistic contemplation of like the making of the pot, or? the person looking upon the pot will be like, oh, I know how that was made, and
That's the craft element of the creation of the pot, but the experience of thinking of it as beautiful or disruptive, or whatever experience you disgust or pleasure would be the experience you have of the art, I think, of the object as art. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so then in that case, craft objects, I mean, objects that result from crafts don't have kind of like the contemplative sort of phase of experience that visual art does. Is that it? Because when you're contemplating,
I think it totally can. That's the magic about art. I think it totally can be experienced as art, even though if it's an object created by a craftsman. It's just that, I mean, we use, this is just because we're flawed humans. We use language in this way, having different terms for things. I think they bleed together because, and that's just how we experience it. It's more of just like the way our language is thinking of these as separate things, but I don't think they have to be. I think they've always bled into one another, and I think design bleeds into art, and I think art bleeds into design, and that's the world I love living in. Just like in between these two places, where I can have my hand here in this, and have my other hand in this, and a foot in there, and just like do a bit of everything.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, because I mean that's I was thinking about that also, that the art aspect in the sign making or the pottery is in doing it well, because a large part of visual art is to make the thing well, do the thing well.
That I think is an opinion which I very much agree with. And I think because we're artists and because we're good at what we do, we look to some sort of, kind of have to be a little bit impressed. I don't know, maybe that's just you, or maybe that's just a classical, like a way of thinking classically about art. But I can't stand modern art. Like the majority of it, at least, like I absolutely no interest. Could not give a fuck. Because it doesn't impress me. It does, I'm not going to say absolutely all modern art, but generally speaking, modern art is very, it's just not my cup of tea. It's when and people can be impressed by different things, right? You can be a person who doesn't know anything about art and be impressed by a painting or a drawing, and then you and I will look at that drawing and look, oh, that's drawing in the world, but had it been a better drawing, have the quality of the work, you can see, oh, this person has spent thousands of more hours learning how to draw. All of a sudden, you and I would like it more because we're more impressed by it, or and it fulfills an aesthetical, value to us.
Okay.
Don't you think? Or how do you think about that? How do you think about modern art?
I mean, I like some of it, sure, but and I mean, I think it's just called modern art because of the time. It's the time. That's what it's called, like the era. Because it's current.
Right.
Because
there's modern art, not contemporary art, because the contemporary art is just whatever is happening right now, right?
Okay, so then I think what I mean is contemporary.
Modern, I guess.
I mean, I guess. From the turn of the century on, there's lots of really, really bad stuff. But I am recently giving myself permission to not think that. All right, let me say it in not a negative like that, just because it's more straightforward. I've been giving myself permission recently to think to just accept that art is something that is well made, among other things. And then things that are not, that don't involve skill, thoughtfulness, deliberate decisions, in making whatever the final object is just not art. And of course, within the spectrum of art, there's of course good and bad, but there are a lot of things, just a lot of things that are just not in the same category as art. And then that definitely includes a lot of contemporary art. And so like I'm just now getting comfortable with being like, no, that's not art, and that should not be in a museum. It shouldn't be in a gallery. So like, you know,
you would take out half of MoMA basically then, wouldn't you?
Yes,
like if
absolutely.
your criteria.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yes.
So a criteria for you for art is that it has to be well made.
Yes.
I've never heard that argument before, but I don't dislike it. I completely agree.
Well,
I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, in one of the early on, what episode? It was some of the first 10 episodes that I made that of the podcast. When I asked my guest what is art, she was like something about the etymology of the word is making something skillfully, and I was like, yeah, of course it involves. I mean, that makes
that's.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and I like it a lot because like again, it's like, you know, the things, the mirrors that you make, the sign making, the thought, the deliberate decisions that you put into a design and this type of stuff, it is not in the same category as putting a brick on a pedestal. It is not. It's like you can't. I mean, I'm not citing any specific artist. It's like I'm sure it's happened. A brick on a pedestal, a pair of glasses in the corner of a white room or whatever. It's like this type
of on the floor, right?
It's like, yeah, don't touch. It's like oh, somebody dropped their glasses and you take it to the reception and it's like, oh my god, that's the art, and you get charged, you know, whatever. And it's like that does not work for me. That is not art. It is a completely fucking different category. It's like, yeah, it's not. I don't accept it as art. And it's like, you know, doing something well doesn't mean that it's like, you know, once you're in the category of art, you of course have things that are better than others. And you of course have people that are more skilled than others. And then you have your good art and your bad art, and this could be better. Of course you can be better, you know. But there's just like a whole slew of things that are I'm not cool with anymore.
So you're thinking about art from an objective kind of viewpoint. You're not thinking about art as much subjectively, because you have people who think about art completely subjectively, like never take the objective route at all. They're just like, oh, art is subjective. You like that, I like that. It's all art.
Right.
Yeah.
No, and the Dr. Jordan Peterson, he talks about art pretty often. I mean, well, not that often. I really wish he did more often. But he has mentioned that, you know, what Marcel Duchamp was trying to do is really just ask the question of what makes art, which is a good question. You know, that's a good question. Of course we can ask the question. But then it's like, because at the same time, he was also challenging what his fellow people meant. It's like, okay, but then if anything can be art, here's this urinal and you have to accept it because you said art can be anything. So then it's a challenge to that.
Art can be anything. Art can be anything, and everyone can be an artist.
Right.
Is the result of modernism or modern art of the 20th century.
Yes.
Which I think broke art a little bit.
Oh, for sure.
And you know, people who love modern art, this is like the best thing that ever happened in art history to them, right? The fact that everyone can be an artist and art can be everything, that sums up modern art in a nutshell. Right. But I hate it because I think it devalues art, and I think you share the same feeling.
Yeah.
When everyone is an artist, when no one is special anymore, and if everything is art isn't something that we elevate anymore, and I think it should be elevated because I think it's I mean, you can't say no to this. It's a unique human experience and a unique part of human sentient life. The way you feel when you're in presence of whatever you may call art. But devaluing it the way modern art and modernism did during the 20th century, I think just like devalued it completely.
Yeah, for sure.
And
no, I completely agree. Okay, but I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, but this is why you and I think about art the same way, or at least people that are good at what they do who really just wants to push themselves a little bit further. Like if I go into an art gallery, I won't think something is as beautiful as something else if it's made poorer or quicker or easier, because it feels like cheating, right? When you go into MoMA and you see a Rembrandt or a Caravaggio or whatever, you're like, holy shit, how the fuck did anyone do this? It's amazing. I can't understand how they did this. And that's what excites me about art. I have to be impressed to a certain extent. And it's just because we're in the field, right? If I was just a regular bloke in finance or whatever, maybe I wouldn't think about art like that. But because it's what I do, it's how I'm like scrutinizing it a little bit. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I actually disagree with that, because I don't think that, quote unquote, the lay person can't appreciate art the same way that we do, for example. And I think that's also, tell me what you think about this, because I recently kind of, I don't know, realized or started hypothesizing that the perceived elitism in art is also the fault of the modernists. And the reason is the following. Because they started making just crap and acting like it's important and cerebral and intellectual. But then somebody said, so if I take this and I put it on like here, and I'm like, this is my work of art and it means this and this and this, and then you're like, I don't get it. And I'm like, it's because you do not understand art.
Yeah.
Okay, so then the problem is that this is obviously not art, first of all. Second of all, it's bullshit to call it art. Okay, so then it is my fault as the person who made the crap, because I'm using all of the terms incorrectly and inaccurately, and then blaming the other person, arguably even gaslighting them for telling them that they don't get it, or insulting their intelligence, saying that they don't get it. So like my argument is that the perceived elitism in art is also the fault of the modernists, postmodernists, and it's all their fucking fault because they're just ridiculous. And I mean,
the fucking the longer we go with this con, which I see modern art as, at least the big part of modern art is a fucking con trick. Like it's one of the greatest fucking con pulled over us. Is the further and further we go with it, the explanations get longer and longer and longer, and all of a sudden you have to read a fucking novel to understand the art, right? And it just talks about, I mean, it's just jerking yourself off, like, oh, I had this experience, and it's supposed to mean this and this, and I really look at the integral part of, I mean, go back a couple of 100 years and just like, I don't have to tell you that this is good. Just fucking look at it, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
You shouldn't have to be told that something is good. It's so demeaning. I don't like to be spoken in that tone of voice. And it's just like, don't tell me that I am stupid because I don't understand your whole pretense of art, you know?
Yes. Okay. All right. I like this small or kind of rant on the subject.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, Mr. Meyer, what is beauty in your opinion?
It's funny you ask, and I love that you have this as a core part of your podcast, and it goes back to what we just talked about. Beauty was just thrown out in the turn of the century, right? It was thought of as a superfluous thing that is just like, art doesn't have to be beautiful. What the fuck are you talking about? I don't necessarily think it has to either, but to me, beauty is. I've thought a lot about this because beauty was actually part of my bachelor thesis. I wrote about why beauty is essential to art and design. It's been a few years since I wrote that dissertation now, but to me it's another uniquely present emotion experience that humans have. I don't know if you know, what's his name, Roger Scruton. He's a philosopher of aesthetics, I mean, right?
Yeah.
And which is kind of cool. I had no idea you could be a fucking philosopher in aesthetics. That's pretty like, whoa, okay, cool, good for you, mate. I don't necessarily agree with everything he has to say. Same with Jordan Peterson either, but like they have good points here and there. And what Roger Scruton focuses on is like, why is beauty a human emotion that is an essential part of why we're attracted to stuff? And okay, so you asked me, what is beauty to me? Beauty to me comes in many forms. But beauty is one of them could be I'm impressed by something. I will automatically think it's more beautiful. And I think it's because I see the labor of the human behind it. So to me, it has to do with both a human um, empathic aspect of I see the labor someone put into it, but I think you could also have completely organic um, beauty when it comes to, for example, take ornamentation, just curves and forms and things that go like this and then curls like that. It's elegant and it's. Why do I think that's beautiful? I think it's beautiful because it's organic. But something completely modern can be beautiful too, in my mind. Um, it's hard to put a concrete like headline or title to it because I think it's just this amazing human feeling. It's like salt and pepper, making this think out loud. But I think it's pretty good. It's like salt and pepper. You can. Someone's been watching a lot of like cooking shows lately. You can make a perfect dish, and you got lovely meat from grass-fed, grass-finished beef, and you got this garnish, and you're a five-star restaurant, right? And everything's amazing, right? All the ingredients for making a good dish is there, even the craft is there. But if you don't season it, it's not going to taste well. It has to its beauty is the seasoning to whatever you're making, I think. And you can season it well, you can season it very little. This goes back to what I talked about earlier. Everything has been designed and a certain amount of beauty or aesthetics is put into it. It could be a chair that's just like that's a design, or it could be an ornamentally beautifully curved with like lots of engravings and stuff. That's lots of spice and salt and pepper and stuff like that. It's like an addition you can give to something to make it sing, to make it like speak to you in a different manner. It's like a beautiful taste. It's a beautiful sound that gives you goosebumps. It is something that touches the inside of the human feeling, soul. I don't believe in soul, but like the essence of human emotion, I think.
Yes.
Is that even an answer?
Sure. No, that's an answer. No, it's an answer. I like it.
Yeah.
All right, just give me a second.
Yeah.
So, all right. So I like the empathetic part that you said first, in the first part of your answer, and then the kind of thoughtful but deliberate decision to make something well. The latter one, I think, or I greatly enjoy that it has the overlap with art. Because of what we were saying before I asked you what is beauty, that art is something that is well made. And of course, like, again, something being well made does not guarantee that it doesn't guarantee that it's gonna be good necessarily. And it doesn't guarantee either that it's gonna kind of invoke the experience of beauty in the viewer. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I just thought about something. And tell me if any of your previous, this might be totally out there, but has anyone, when you've asked this question to other artists, has anyone ever mentioned symmetry?
Yes.
When they talk about what beauty is?
They mention it kind of like as related to sometimes.
I wonder if there's anything, because symmetry is definitely something that is very much correlated to what we think of as beauty. I think. Composition, but also symmetry. The classical example of this is like what people think is beautiful in people, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You spoke about something that's been well made. Something can be well made out of nature as well, whether that's a pretty person, an aesthetically beautiful person. The people we societally think of as the most beautiful are generally the most symmetrical faces. We when we see most of the beauty, what I refer to as beauty, is also very organic. It has curves and shapes, and it's a flower or a grass, or when you see like a tree that's bent in a certain way, you have the golden ratio, right? Like this is something that it immediately attracts the eye to a certain place. Beauty to me is organic. I think it's that's closest to what you could get like as a straight answer from me. For me, um, beauty has a lot to do with something that is organic. This is how I design the ornaments that I use, the weight, the balance. Balance is probably another good keyword of the typography of how something sits on a page. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
organic. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think I like that even more.
Mhm. Yeah.
And that has something of the sort has definitely been mentioned in previous episodes as well, like that relationship of beauty and nature. And the reason, I mean, not only do I just like it because I think, of course, nature is amazing and everything, but also because it makes a lot of sense. And the reason it makes a lot of sense is that we are, I mean, humans, we are empirical in the sense that all of our ideas, everything we think, we feel, whatever, is based on experience and things that we have seen, seen, heard, whatever. And sometimes, I mean, even ideas or things that we didn't directly see is still a reference to an idea, because it's like you might have heard it from someone else. It's like you might have seen somebody that was influenced by Alphonse Mucha, but you've never seen Alphonse Mucha's work, for example, like something like that. Alphonse Mucha, I mean, I'm sure you know who that is, but he was a big.
Alphonse Mucha has been a great inspiration to me as like how I draw. In general. It's like heavy outlines, and
just like the nature, kind of like that. I mean, the relationship and between curves and balances and shapes that you're talking about. And so, like, I'm reading a book, and I don't know. I think I have said that I'm reading this book for almost the entirety of this podcast. It's called it happens, you know. I mean, it's The Art Instinct by Dennis Dutton, and his argument is basically that the things that we consider beautiful are based on that which has allowed our survival in nature. So like in terms of landscape, it's like, oh yeah, greenery and an open space and water and animals. And so like nature, not just that, but then nature, when it comes to proportion and the relationship between shapes, nature of course has her own proportions, her own balances. And so like that is brought into when we're making any kind of design, whether it's like the really kind of a technical, quote unquote, graphic design, or when we're talking about the figure, representational work. It's like that is what directly or indirectly informs the decisions that, symmetry. It's because it's in nature, and it signals a healthy person in this type of stuff.
You can go totally, like, you can think about it from an evolutionary aspect as well, and that makes absolutely total sense. Like the mistake modern people do is that they see themselves outside of nature.
Yeah.
Right? They don't realize that they're just a walking ape, composed by the same chemicals as everyone else is. That we're a product of human evolution, and it's just like this is the little sliver of society that we have now, and then we've got all the millions of years before that making us into a specialized creature. Other people or other species have different specializations. They have wings, or they have big teeth. We've got a big brain, and we're using it in a different way, and we're thinking about things a different way because we've got that organ so big. And it's like, but I think you're totally right when it comes down to this is what many people would not like about it, the way we talk about beauty, right? Because they would think, oh no, are you basing it down to like, oh, it's too scientific, it's just on paper now. You're like, no, it's something special. And it's like, yeah, but everything is like that. Like you can go
Yeah.
into the molecular composition of you brushing your teeth, right? It doesn't necessarily devalue the experience you have with it or about it. It's still
Right.
beautiful, but it is a part of our genetical makeup, the same way cold and heat is. I think it's a special unique human emotion. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I I actually disagree that it kind of with not with you necessarily, but with whomever says that it kind of takes the mystery away,
Yeah, totally.
because it
Totally.
it absolutely does not. It's like I don't know if you've read Cosmos by Carl Sagan.
Oh,
And
yeah. The
yeah,
rainbow.
and yes, yes,
I
and
believe that's Richard Dawkins, though, isn't it? That did the. Or was that Carl Sagan who did the rainbow thing? You're like,
I don't know. Is that a book too?
well, Richard Dawkins has written lots of things. I mean, he's a zoologist and a
I
scientist.
haven't read
and
any
all that.
Richard Dawkins.
Yeah, but I think no, you might be totally right. That was Carl Sagan, and I might be mixing it up. But like, oh, is it cool though? The title is something about the rainbow, right? And the example is that someone will say, "Oh no, you're taking out the beauty of a splendid rainbow, talking about it about like in a way where you talk about it's just the UV rays of sunlight hitting H2O as it is in the form of condensed condensed in the atmosphere as like small particles, and then the
Right.
UV light hits them and creates this color." And it's like, to me, that's what's so amazing about it, right? Like, whoa, that's another level of coolness. Not just, it just doesn't look cool, but there's some fucking cool reason for why it looks cool as well, right?
Yeah. No, so no, I think I don't think Carl Sagan wrote something of the sort, but I only ever read Cosmos anyway. So he might have,
Yeah.
and I just don't
Yeah.
know. But
Yeah.
he was a scientist, but he also kind of had a lot of kind of the whimsical curiosity that doesn't exhaust.
Yeah.
So then the discovery or the understanding of stuff didn't dim the wonder for him. It made it more
No.
wonderful, So then it's obvious in that book which is like the only thing that I know about him, that
Yeah.
he was obviously, it made it more amazing, more wonderful. So then it's like kind of understanding what nature intended for
Yeah.
us,
Yeah, exactly.
or how
Yeah.
we ended up and why we ended up whatever. That is more it makes everything easier, it makes everything more interesting, it makes everything well easier again.
Yeah.
Okay. So all right. I think this is a good place to end, Mr. Meyer, because we have broken by 7 minutes the hour mark of our conversation, the hour long mark of our conversation. So I'm going to start to close it out. What are you up to these days? Do you have any big projects that you're excited that are coming up? You want to add anything? Where can people find your work?
Yeah, I mean, I do. In terms of the art, I mean, I do every day. I do what I love as a graphic designer. And outside of my graphic design work, I do this stuff. And what you're seeing behind me is part of what I've got going on now. I mean, this is months and months of work, culminating in. I mean, you see one big piece and one small piece. I need to make 4 of these, the small ones. I need to make 2 of this big one. It's the biggest task I've ever done when it comes to glass gilding. Like it's by far the biggest I've produced, the most nerve-wracking I've produced. I've never done anything this difficult. This has literally truly been the hardest thing that I've ever done in my life. That really excites me. I have a very punishing personality. I need to kick myself all the time. I need to challenge myself all the time, and it's kind of pathological. But that's what I'm excited about. This is for a massive project for a bar down in Nashville. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So this has been about a year's work of work now, from the design phase to the finished piece. And other than that, I've got an Instagram where I will start now very soon showing the process from start to finish on this.
Oh, nice.
I've been delaying the posting of this because I can only work on this outside of my work hours.
Right.
But very soon I will be drip dropping on my Instagram, which is s.meyer artist. So Meyer artist is that. Meyer is the way an American or an Englishman would. Meyer artist.
Okay.
That's basically it. I'm a pretty private person. Other than that, like I just do my thing, and that's the only place you can find me, or the best place to find me. I'm not very. I have a website with very kind of like. People can go check that out. It's a video. It's what smayerartist.com. A really cringy video that I made for my bachelor's thesis, but where I'm very like, oh, look at I did this. Okay, cool, chill, you know. But it's a video showing a bit of the process of how I make this stuff, and so that's nice if people are more interested. But Instagram is the place. Yeah.
Okay. Well. Okay. All right. So, thank you, Simen, very much for joining me today. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Feel free to let Simen and I know what you think of this conversation in the comments, and leave also any additional questions. If you've also never heard about glass gilding as I, and you have other questions that didn't occur to me to ask, I encourage everyone listening and watching to like this video and share it with anyone you consider relevant, as it is immensely helpful to my channel, and so is your subscription. If you want to support Simen, myself, and the podcast, you can find links in the show notes. Thank you very much, and see you next time, everyone. Bye!